Good afternoon, Muscle Car Corner here at U.S. Nationals, Indy. I'm with Mr. 4Speed and Jeff Stunkard. We're here to get an interview with Mr. McCandless and talk about his first hot rod car and how he got into drag racing, and then touch on your storied career, which Jeff knows a lot about, so I'll let you guys get to it. But let's talk about your first car, Herb.
The first car I ever had was a 57 Chevrolet. That was a drag, and I went to the drag strip with it, and I was embarrassed, so I left and got rid of it and bought me a brand new 60 Chevy 348 3.2 car.
Nice.
Which at that point was the most powerful Chevrolet on the planet.
Yeah,
Was it?
348 with the 3.2 barrels on it. That was the top of the line.
They had two versions: the hydraulic cam version, which I bought, and then they had the 335 horse, which is a solid electric version.
Okay.
But my car ran D stock, if I remember right. And I went to the drag strip and won me a little trophy. I was really proud of that. And I went back and got me another one, and I did that 5 weeks in a row.
Now, was that over at Lakeland?
Yeah,
Lakeland
at
drag
Lakeland.
strip outside
Yep.
of Memphis?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
I hid the trophies in the trunk because I knew my mom would kill me. And, after I had 5 of them, I carried them in the house, What is that? And I explained it to her, told her I'd been going to the drag strip. I said, I've won 5 weeks in a row. In 6 weeks, she's at the drag strip with me. Everything else was history as far as that.
That's neat.
Yeah. And then I bought me a 409, and I thought I was hot stuff, I bought me a 409. I went out there and I got in the class with the big boys. They educated me real quick. I didn't know what I was doing.
So you bought a new 409?
Brand new 409
okay.
Impala, yeah.
Okay.
What year was that?
62.
2.
So I heard about this guy named Don Nicholson that was really the king of the 409s, and I drove the car on the street for a pretty good while, and I wanted to go race it. So I got Mr. Nicholson on the phone at Nally Chevrolet, and I said, look, have you got an engine that I can swap my engine for, and I'll pay you whatever you want the difference? He said, I'm putting my Z11 stuff together, and he said, I'm taking the engine out of the car right now. He said, I'll take $350 in your engine.
Wow.
This was on Thursday morning. Saturday morning, I'm sitting in his shop with my engine in the trunk of a friend of mine's car and $350 in my hand. He looked at me and I said, I'm Herb McCandless. I talked to you Thursday. You said you'd take $350 in my motor for your motor. I said, where's your motor? There's mine. Here's my $350. I get the motor, go home, put it in the car. Once again, I think I'm tough, I go get a match race with a 421 Pontiac, and he spanked me good. So the car stumbled real bad. I knew nothing about carburetors. I knew gas went up, that's all I knew.
Sure.
And I heard about this guy named Jenkins that was really good with carburetors, and I got Bill Jenkins on the phone. And don't
That
know
was
how,
the time you could still do those kind of
yeah,
things.
you call information, get the phone number, and call him, And so I sent my carburetors to him. He charged me $50 to fix them, and I got him back. I called Sanford Bowling over in Arkansas. I said, hey, I want to run that Pontiac again. He said, you just ran him 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I can't do that. I said, I'll run him for $50. He said, oh, I'll do that. So I went over there, and Charlie would put his window down. If he was in front of you, he'd wave you on, come after him,
Yeah.
Well, guess who put the window down that day? I was on the way with the 409 then, and then I got to be bigger friends with Don and got me some Z11 stuff. And
Nice.
Well, and just remember, people don't know that Nally was actually the Southeast big deal to have with.
all right.
Anyway, Nally Chevrolet was a big distributor for Chevrolet Performance throughout the Southeast.
Oh, okay.
And Nicholson had ended up there. He had been on the West Coast, and he had won Pomona, but he had all these match races around Atlanta. So I don't know how the mechanics of it worked, but somehow with Vince Piggins and everybody else, Nicholson ended up being the Southeast drag race guy.
Okay.
And Herb just was in the right place at the right time. Now, when he says he went to Atlanta to go get it, he came all the way from Memphis to Atlanta. He wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't Burlington to Atlanta.
Sure.
That was a long ride. So anyway.
Let me run sign this thing from Buddy right quick.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Gotcha. All right.
So Herb had to go and get a picture done, or to sign a picture. But when you talk about the Z11, that was actually an RPO package of racing parts that they put together.
Really?
In 62 and 63. And the RPO was the highest performance motor they had created at that time, the Z11, which was 409 horse, then 425 horse, then 427 inches at 427 horse. in 62 and 63, that was the very top of the line of Chevrolet's, drag racing technology.
Yeah.
And there was also a lightweight car package associated with that. So
Oh, okay.
you got a Z11 package car, and the ZL1 was later, and that was with an aluminum block. This was a standard W series cylinder head block. But again, when the rules changed in 1962 internationally to 7 liters, which was 427 cubic inches, all the manufacturers moved up to 427 cubic inches, and that was why that change happened.
Wow, okay.
To go to the 7-liter limit, and they all maxed them out. And anyway, but that's what the the ZL1 was all, or Z11 was all about. So,
Gotcha. I didn't know exactly, the terminology of what motor it was.
Yeah, the Z11 was actually an engine package. So
Yeah, there was a set of heads and an intake manifold. Had a high-rise intake like a big block 440 Chrysler. The intake set up over the manifold. I got me a Z11 set up from Don and put it on the car.
It was all top end parts.
Top
It was-
half,
You
yeah.
didn't have to go
Yeah.
in and change the
Heads and
pistons.
intake. And so I went out to the drag strip. Well, they never opened the hood on my car. They just wrote whatever A stock, whatever it was on it. I went in, I made a pass. Oh boy, I picked up about a half second. I got a picture somewhere where I opened the hood and everybody there seemed like was there. Here comes the tech guy, Tommy Backwell. He said,
Tear you
"Herb,
down.
what have you done?" I said, "What do you mean, Tommy?" He said, "Everybody's screaming about your car right now in the class. We're going to run it."
now this was a 62 car with a steel front end.
Oh yeah, 62 Impala.
Okay.
Non-bubble top.
Huh?
Was it a bubble top?
No, it was Impala. So I opened the hood and we laughed. He said, "I'm gonna kill you." So, but I don't know what I had to run modified production or something like that with it. But
They changed you up the next.
oh yeah, they kicked me out of A stock or whatever it was.
It wasn't stock anymore.
I knew I wasn't gonna get away with it, but I just did it for fun. I knew it'd cause a big commotion when I made it. I didn't have any idea how fast it was gonna go. I just put them on the car and went to the track.
Wow.
Picked up about a half second.
That's
Of
crazy.
course, everybody knew what the car normally ran, so that started a war there.
So for 63 though, you did not get another
no.
Z11 car, right?
No, in '64, I took the motor and put it in a station wagon
Really?
and run modified production. I put it in a Nomad wagon, run modified production,
Nice.
and went to Phoenix City, I think it was, set the record in the class. I come back home, we had a wreck and totaled the wagon completely, tore it all to pieces. So I bought another wagon the next week, just a 210 cheapo wagon, and I missed one weekend. We back out there the next weekend racing it. And
Unreal.
I was running B modified production. There was a guy there with a 57 Plymouth running B modified production, and I used to beat up on him on Saturday night. A really nice guy named John. That's all I knew is a nice guy named John. He comes over to me. He said, "Herb," he said, "Chrysler's building these package cars next year, these 65 Hemi cars."
Yeah.
And he said, "They're only building 10 cars because they got nobody can drive the things." He said, "Think you could drive one of them?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" And so he gives me his car and he said, "Come up to my office Monday, I want to talk to you." And so I go over to the office and this guy's, he's the wheel. He's the assistant.
This is the
lead.
guy you were racing in modified production.
Yeah.
Same guy?
Same guy, yeah.
What was his name?
John Moore.
John Moore.
He did everything but adopt me, honest to goodness.
Really?
He really did. He just was a wonderful person, and he appreciated how hard I'd work and, that I could drive the car. We're sitting in his office talking, and he's telling me all about the car. Well, they just came out with a 4-speed 64. I'd never even seen one.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's right.
I started asking questions about it. He picks the phone up and hands me the phone. I'm talking to the head engineer in the 4-speed lab in Detroit. I said, "Wow, look at me." And so he said, "If you could drive the car, I can see to it that you have parts, to keep the thing running."
Sure.
And I said, "I don't have $3,600 to lay down for a car." I said, "If we can get it financed, I'll buy it." He said, "Okay, we'll take care of that."
Nice.
And so they delivered the car to my mom's house, and I picked it up, at the dealer, and took it to my mom's house. And this guy from Commercial Credit comes out and he walks around the car and he looks at the car and he said, "Son, we don't finance race cars, but we're going to finance this one. You know somebody." And we've got the paperwork in the museum. On the board
ya?
in the museum. My mom kept all the paperwork from Commercial Credit
Man.
where they financed my '68 car.
Very cool.
And of course, I paid it off. I was winning money really good with it.
How much were the payments back then?
I don't even remember. I didn't pay attention to the payments. I just whatever handed money every week like I had paid off. I mean, we'd go out and win $200 or $300, $400 on a weekend.
Wow.
That's when
that was big
$100
money back then.
Oh, $100 a week was a really good job back then.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So you went right into cyberspace making money on
Yeah.
this deal.
Yeah.
You realized it was the path you were going to take in your life, wasn't
Well,
it?
I pretty well figured that out. I went to Union Hill in Nashville. They call it Music City now. We used to run 1,000 feet up there. They run 8th mile now. They're a bunch of sissies. Because you go over the mountain if you don't stop. And I didn't know anybody. I showed up with my 65 Hemi 4-speed car. I didn't know a soul there. And they had booked in Eddie Sharpman as the draw with Nicholson's Comet. And, you know, he was supposed to win the race. Well, they didn't tell me that. And so I went out there and just whipped him like I owned him. And I took a nap against Robert Nance for first place money, lost first place money. So I come back and I whipped him again for second round. I won second place money. And I won first place money again Sunday.
Wow.
And so, well, they forgot to tell me he was supposed to win. So I went up the tower and knocked on the door. And Bob Wingo ran the track. And he said, come on in. So I walked in there. I said, Mr. Wingo, I'm Herb McCandless. I'd like to get my money, please, for last night and today. And he turned around and leaned back in his chair and he said, boy, where'd you come from? I said, I'm from Memphis, sir. I said, I really like your drag strip. I'd like to come back and run some more.
I bet you would.
Him and I got to be really good friends with. I was there once a month. I went up there to get my house note and my car payment. That was going to take care of that on Monday morning.
Man, you met the right person there.
Oh, yeah.
And he helped you really
John-
excel from there.
John and I were friends till the day he passed away when he was 90-something.
Wow.
And he had dementia toward the end of his life. I never called him that he didn't know who I was.
Wow.
Unreal.
I was very proud of that.
You were
Let's
top
step
of
back-
list.
Let's step back a minute, Herb, on this whole Chevy thing. So you had a pretty big commitment to running Chevrolet products up to that point.
Well, yeah, but Chevrolet didn't care.
No.
No.
But I understand. But I'm talking about you as a racer. You were kind of committed to the Chevy.
Oh, yeah.
The Chevy product. Chevy.
Yeah.
You were buying good race parts.
Yeah.
Building good race cars.
Yeah.
So, do you think your life would have gone a different way had you gotten a '63 Z11 package? Would you
Well,
think you would, if you had stayed in super
look at it-
stock
look at
and
it
not
this
moved
way.
over to modified production and been racing John Moore? Would
No.
life have been completely different?
I have no idea, but look
Yeah.
at it this way. Buddy and Ronnie had a 62 and a 63 Z11 set up, and they wound up at Chrysler.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So the thing about Chrysler, they would take somebody like me. I'm a kid.
Sure.
I was younger.
How
than
old were
anybody.
you then?
Well, I'm 62. I was 19, 18,
Gotcha.
18 in the summer of 62. And so they would help somebody like me and give me parts and to keep the car running and everything. I went to Phoenix City, Alabama to a NHR points meet down there. And they wanted me to run these goofy 7-inch tires and run A stock or something. I tore up 2 sets of them on Saturday, just ruined them, and about had a third set ruined. And I had my 10-inch tires with me. That was a big tire back then. And they had AFX class, which was gasoline and fuel injection. And
Sure.
you could move the wheels 2% or something like that. whatever the rules were. Well, they had 5 of those cars there. And I put my 10-inch tires on Sunday. I went out there and just made them all look stupid. I mean, I went way faster than they did. And on Saturday, we had real transmissions with real synchronizers in them. We had the same transmission that came in your 444-speed car. We had
Gotcha.
the exact same transmission in the car. And so I broke a brass ring in the synchronizer assembly. And I went over to Mr. Maxwell. He was there. And asked him, could I have a synchronizer assembly? And he said, yeah, give Herb a synchronizer assembly. So I had met him in Detroit. I'll tell you that story in a minute. But he said, take your car down to the dealership, put it on the lift. You can take the transmission out and fix the transmission, put it back in. I said, no, sir, I'll change it over in the pits. I'll be running in about an hour. And I went over and pulled it apart, tore it all apart, and fixed it, put it back together.
Man.
But when I met Maxwell in Detroit, John sent me to school for a week. We didn't know what a Hemi was, never seen one. And Mr. Hoover was doing a school for the people that bought the 65 cars.
The
Well, there were
father.
about 5 people in that Mid-South area that were getting them. So John gives me a brand new 65 Plymouth Satellite wagon and the keys and said, y'all all go to Detroit. Herb, you're in charge. And I'm the youngest kid in the car.
They're
Wow.
most responsible to drag racers.
Yeah. And so
Man, that is super
we
cool.
went to Detroit, and John told me, he said, look, when you meet these people, he said, you're going to meet Mr. Hoover and Max, you're going to meet all of them. So when you meet these people, he said, you have a conversation with them and make sure the next time that you see them, they'll know who you are.
Gotcha.
Well, I sort of did that in a way that I wasn't planning. I met Mr. Hoover, so that was great, you know, those guys. Well, I met Maxwell. John came up and introduced me to Dick Maxwell, who was, Maxwell was up here. He's head of product planning or whatever the title was.
Good connection.
And he said, Herb's getting one of our 4-speed cars. And Maxwell looked at me and he said, don't worry, son, we'll send you an automatic to put in. And I looked Mr. Maxwell square in the eye. He's about 62, and I looked up at him, looked him square in the eye. I said, no, sir, I'll quit first. He looked at me like, who are you, you smart aleck little kid? But Dick and I became very, very, very good friends. So
and how did the name Mr. 4-speed come around? That's
John
when
Moore and the Memphis region zone office there, they got me to put that on the car because we had the only 4-speed around.
Gotcha.
And see, I immediately changed that situation with the car because it had that goofy shifter come out on the dash. And
That funky shaped one.
That thing.
No.
And I knew Jimmy Kerr. I had met Jimmy Kerr, who was the Hearst shifty doctor.
Really?
And, yeah, I had met him and gotten to be friends with him at the drag strip. I don't know how, but I mean, I go up to, I go up and talk to everybody. So I called Jimmy on the phone. I said, Jimmy, I got to have a shifter for this thing. I said, this thing's terrible. Nobody drive this thing. I said, I got to have a shifter back beside me where it belongs. So he made 3 shifters, one for me, one for Dave Strickler, and one for Ronnie.
Neat.
And sent them to us. And
that's that short shift.
We had, it was like a 67 shifter, a hockey stick, and the handle was just a Hearst competition shifter. The handle was right there.
Yeah.
Now, when was it? This was after Bristol, though, right? But was this in the summer of '65 that this all
That's when I first got the car.
Right after you got it?
I never ran the car with that goofy shifter.
Oh, okay.
No, Jimmy
Very
made me the
interesting.
shifter immediately. He had it to me just, a few days.
So one reason Dick Maxwell was telling Herb you'd be in an automatic is a lot of the 4-speed guys were blowing motors up, and Chrysler was going to kind of warranty, but if you couldn't shift the car, if you weren't Herb or Ronnie Sox or they were not going to mess around with you learning how to shift the car when you're bending valves every other pass. So basically, you had a chance to try it, and if you didn't do so well, guess what? You're a torque flight boy now.
Well, after about a couple of months, there were only 3 people who were still running the cars with me and Ronnie Sox and Melvin Yao.
Is that right?
Melvin had a 65 car. They didn't have a package car. They actually built the car. Melvin Yao and a guy named O.B. Hewitt built a 65 stick car, and it was a good car, and Melvin was very good with it.
Well, he ran the NASCAR series with that car, and he did real good.
Yeah,
Melvin did real good.
drag series, yeah.
NASCAR drag series with it.
Yeah.
And Strickler only had his 4-speed car for Indy. He got that car, he borrowed that car to run Indy with, because he ran the altered wheelbase car in '65.
Okay.
The one that was at McCann last year?
No. The car that Strickler had that was a standard wheelbase car, they borrowed for basically the fall of '65, and then it went back to its owner. Its owner had pulled the Hemi out and put it in a Willis.
Gotcha.
And so that was how that happened.
Well, just real quick, a question for me, talking about torque flights and 4-speeds. Your pros and cons on, there's a lot of people that wanted to run a pinion snubber, torque converter, and a torque flight. But it was so much harder to win with a 4-speed if you weren't good, because that torque fly, a lot of times,
it was impossible.
it was
if you were good, it was easy.
You were going to go buy them, so.
I put 2 car links on just about anybody out of the starting line. Yeah, if I could see them when I pull second gear, I knew I was late. Because we were using rosin and stuff like that, and we made the tracks good if they weren't good.
Sure.
And those guys had a 10-inch converter was all they had.
What stall was it? About $4,000 back then?
Like a straight Hemi converter.
Yeah, it wasn't that much. There were no mini
3,200
converters yet. They hadn't really found all that stuff out.
Paul Forte's the one found all that out for Chrysler.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, I'd go somewhere and I could just kill them. 8th mile, I don't know as I ever lost an 8-mile race. I mean, it was just
unreal.
There was no way they could run me down. I don't care if they had more power than me or lighter than me or whatever, because the 4-speed just had that much of an advantage.
Now, you and Grumpy are some of the biggest 4-speed guys in the world. You running him, was there any time that he missed a gear or you ever missed a gear? I mean, I hate to ask that, but
we really didn't miss gears. We had everything worked out, and my 72 car that's in the museum, the Demon, that was the best car I ever drove in my life, won more races with it than anything I ever had. I never broke a transmission at all year.
Wow.
Not once. Broke 2 spider gears. Chrysler wouldn't let us run spools. We had to run posi units.
Okay.
That was part of it. If you had a contract, you ran a posi unit. And I broke 2 spider gears all year long. But you could break a spider gear in a Dana you could make the run. You break a spot gear in 8 3/4, you were done.
You were.
My 65 car had 8 3/4.
Yep.
The 8 3/4 rear end and them goofy ball and trunnion U-joints
Yes.
probably cost me 10 grand in 65, and I'm dead serious, because you just break them and there wasn't nothing you could do about it.
Right.
I
Wow.
mean, that's the only thing. That's the only option you had. You didn't have any other option to run.
Were you involved in any of the decision making to put Dana's under the car? Was that any? Did you have any input on that being?
That was my next
I
question.
might have been praying for them, other than that. We didn't know what a Dana was.
Right.
That we got Dana's in our 67 car, and I'd run it for a few weeks, and I was at a race somewhere, and I had the cover off of it. Maxwell comes by, he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just checking this thing to make sure everything's okay." He said, "Put the cover on that thing, put 2 quarts of grease in it, leave it alone." But
They're hard to hurt.
oh, if you build them right, they are the best rear end in the world. I don't care what anybody says. That stuff is really good.
And you were telling me yesterday about you having so many Danas in stock for everybody.
I sold more Dana
That's
Reds than anybody in the
cool.
country when I had my business. Nobody was even in the ball game.
Well, tell them a little bit about how you ended up with all those Dana rear ends.
Oh, I'd buy a truckload of them. Bob Stange.
What did one rear cost back then, core?
Do what?
What did one rear housing cost back in the day?
I bought a whole truckload. I bought 2 tractor trailer loads of them from someplace in California. I might have given $75 a piece for them or something like that. I don't know. They were truck housings that somebody had gutted. I don't know what the deal was. I have no idea. We took them out of the trucks. Oh my God, they looked like spaghetti in there when we got them trailers. It took us days to unload them 2 trailers.
Wow.
And I had a great big table saw with a abrasive cutoff wheel and a big handle. You just pulled it down, and we just throw them up there and whack the ends off them, truck ends off of them, and just stack the things up. And we'd weld the car ends on them, make them whatever length people wanted them. And
Wow.
I bought a bunch of Dana rear end. Anytime I get an opportunity to buy surplus Danas or something, I buy it. I bought a whole bunch of 8 3/4 chunks from Chrysler one time. They were surplus, they called them, or over whatever. I don't know what they call them. And I bought a whole pallet of 8 3/4 294 pos traction chunks.
Yes.
I mean, stacked up 4 foot high. The only thing a 294 came in was an Imperial. Who ordered an Imperial with a pos traction unit?
No doubt there.
Well, we changed the ratio and sell them as 410s or whatever. That's something really weird. I had these 294 gears stacked up in boxes.
I bet.
And this guy calls me from Seattle area, somewhere, Washington State. He said, "I make this little lathe I sell to people to put in their garages, and I use 294 8 3/4 Chrysler rear ends to drive them. And somebody told me that you might have some." I said, "Sir, how many you want?" $35 a piece. They're brand new. And he bought a whole pile of them. He was tickled to death, and I was too.
Oh, I bet. Well, let's roll to real quick on what year was it? 67 first year for Dana to come on a production line car. Okay, I thought that's why it
Dana,
was.
as far as I understand it, and don't hold me to this, but I'm pretty sure the Fords had figured out that Dana differential was a strong unit, and somebody understood that was going to be the way to, because the 4-speed guys, you couldn't get that 8 3/4 to live behind the Fords.
No, anyway.
And so Dana then became a supplier to Chrysler of that product.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
they built the rear end for Chrysler.
Yeah.
And they were all truck rear ends to start with.
Well, basically, it was a truck rear end fixed for a car.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
if you ordered a 66 Hemi or 67 Hemi 4-speed car, 440 GTX, whatever, with a 4-speed, it came with a Dana.
Yeah.
That was part of the
Auto,
package. Yeah.
automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well-
that, I kind of got into that. I had met Maxwell and done real good with my car. We were here in Indy in 67. A guy named Lou Williams that worked for Chrysler had a Ted's PR motor in his 67 RO car, street Hemi car.
Nice.
But Lou wasn't that good with the 4-speed. Maxwell comes over to me. He said, "Herb, will you drive Lou Williams' car here?" I knew Lou. I'd met him, but I didn't really know him. He was a good friend of John's. That's how I'd met him. And so I got in the car here in one class in it. And Maxwell came to me about at least five different times throughout my life and asked me to drive other people's cars. I never was asked by Maxwell to drive anything that I didn't get in and win.
Really.
I never got in a car he asked me to drive that I didn't win.
And that's what got you to Ronnie Sox and Buddy Martin.
Maxwell set me up. Dick really liked me. We got along great. And once he got over me telling him I'd do it first. But
Well, the truth was he didn't need to.
no. But in 68, right after I'd won here with Lou's car in 67, And January of '68, Dick calls me. He said, "You going to Pomona?" I said, "No, sir. I'm not going from Memphis to Pomona. I'll do this, try to make money. And I can't make any money doing that." He set me up. That's what he did. I know that's what he did. He never told me that, but he set me up. He said, "Buddy Ronnie carrying 2 cars." Well, he knew the next words out of my mouth was going to be, "Who's driving the second one?" Came right out.
Boom.
And he said, "I don't know." He said, "But I'll talk to Buddy." 30 minutes later, Buddy called me. He said, "I understand you want to drive our second car from home." "Yes, sir." He said, "Bring your helmet and come on."
There you go.
That's the story on it, huh?
That's the story.
That's how I
Man.
got started with Buddy. It was a 440 car, and I knew nothing about a 440 car. I don't know if I'd ever drove a 440 street car. I go out there to Pomona, and Ronnie gets in the car and makes a run. I got in the car and made a run around 2/10 slower than Ronnie did. He said, "What did you do?" I said, "I shifted at 6. I don't know anything about this car. Nobody told me." He said, "No, I shifted at 5. So I went back out there, shifted at 5, ran the same number he did. We went to the drag strip. Everybody was shifting them at 6, and I'm looking back at them about a train length behind me. I beat everybody in the class. I won the class. I set the record in the class. And that was how I got hooked. That was the first time I drove one of their cars, and everything went great. And I get back to the local drag strip at home. I was over at Carlisle, and these 2 guys had a couple of different guys.
That's Carlisle, Arkansas.
Carlisle,
not
Arkansas.
Texas.
Oh, okay.
And they had 67 4-speed 440 cars, or 68, I'm sorry. And they were
GTX.
I don't know if I guess it's GTX is 440.
Gotcha.
They were trying to, race the cars in the track, and you ran off your record back then. And boy, were they trashing that Sox and Martin team for destroying that record out there.
Oh, I bet.
I came up on the conversation. I was told I walked away. I didn't say a word. They had no idea I was driving the car. I figured I'd have got whipped that day if I told, "Hey, that was me driving that car."
Very good.
But,
Let's fast forward to 1970 here at U.S. Nationals with a clone car that you had out there that won it. Let's talk about that real quick and what that experience was like in
I
70.
Buddy called me May the 13th, 1970. He said, "Would you like to move to Burlington and drive our second car?" And I didn't say, "I'll have to call you back." I said, "Yes, sir. I'll be there Wednesday morning." I hung the phone up.
Change his mind.
I called Marie where she worked, and I said, "We're moving to North Carolina. I'm leaving tomorrow." So
Wow.
my wife was wonderful. And so I move over here. Well, we go to York. That was the first major event I went to. I get to the final. I red light against Landy. I needed my behind kick because I had him covered. And so, but he never said a word. He was happy that, first race I'd been to, we made it to the final. And then we go to Indy about 4 weeks later, and I won Indy here. There was 92 cars trying to qualify for 32
It was
spots.
five rounds.
Yeah.
And it wasn't any, there were no gimmies there. And
Oh,
Herb,
no.
Herb and Vanke were in the final. I mean, it was very, very close. So.
There was like 3 thousandths difference. I
Yeah.
left on it just a little bit. I knew when I put it in high gear, it was mine. And,
You just pulled him from there. And
well, we were locked together. We ran almost the same mile an hour.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
what was
amazing
what
for
was
time.
that time in top speed? Do you
998,
remember?
138.03. I'll tell you exactly.
Wow. You don't forget that number, do you?
The time cards are on a board sitting right here in front of the motorhome. I found the cards a few years ago in a drawer at home where I stuck them in my shirt pocket and put them in a drawer. And Mike got them and put them on the board.
That's
Neat,
cool. That's
neat.
cool. They're all there. So.
Well, I followed you. I went to Gator Nationals from 73 to 02. But following you guys, you were the Mopar kings, the way I look at it. I mean, you guys were the best of the best. There was a lot of other people that were as good, but you always seemed to get to that finish line first,
I have trouble even telling this story. I get choked up about it. But Dave Christie was driving Buddy down the return road, and me and Vanke were on. And Dave said he had never seen Buddy that excited in his life.
Wow. And here you guys are all these years later.
Yeah.
Man, that's one of the best stories ever, I tell you. And, it's super neat to get this interview with you. And we need to talk about the car just a little bit more. What made that car win in 70? What were some of the
That
things?
car was off the showroom floor at the dealer in Burlington. Dave Christie put the Hemi in it, and the 4-speed in it, and the Dana in it. And it had a bolt-in Lakewood roll bar, just like it does out here. And we didn't have anything anybody else didn't have. That's just the way that deal
We
was.
had Jake King.
Well, yeah, we had Jake. Yeah,
Well.
that was a big plus. Yeah, we had Jake. See, 2 or 3 people had tried to drive that car. Nobody could drive it. Everybody hated that car. And
Oh, yeah.
Ronnie wouldn't even drive it. He wanted part of
Carl,
it.
Don Carlton made a few runs and he couldn't.
Yeah, he had trouble. Everybody that got in the car had trouble. So I moved to North Carolina, and I mean, I knew I could drive the car. I wasn't worried about that.
Yeah.
So, in 4 weekends, in 3 weekends, I had transmission out of the car 4 times. I didn't have a transmission out of my 68 car 4 times in a year. And so I told Buddy, I said, there's something wrong with this car. I mean, I didn't lose any races because of it, but it just gave trouble. And so I took that weekend off, went back to Memphis, took my 68 car, went to a bracket race over in Arkansas, won the bracket race in my 68 Dart.
Really?
Came back to Burlington, brought the Duster to Burlington, parked it beside my 68 Dart, and started looking at things and checking things. And found the difference in the clutch pedals. Chrysler had shortened the clutch pedal up on the Dusters for these little old ladies buying these 6-cylinder 3-speed Dusters driving to the grocery store. They didn't want that hard pedal. So they shortened the ratio up on the thing.
Okay.
And so I switched the pedals in the car. I never had transmission out of the car again that year.
Really?
I actually had a guy yesterday stop me on the golf cart. Herb, I want you to look at something. I said, okay. He comes out with a A-body brake pedal assembly, clutch, brake, and everything, taken out of the car. He said, now, is this the right pedal for the car? I said, no, sir, that's the wrong pedal. I said, you got to cut it right there and add 5/8 of an inch right here. It's got to be 6 inches between these 2 pins.
And that was like 5/8 was all it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big variance.
But when you extend that lever 5/8 of an inch,
Sure,
you
100%
travel,
true. Yeah.
that it was moving the Z-bar down
Right.
below.
Right.
And I have fixed many, many, many of those pedals for people.
And you learned that on your own just by trial and error and
I told Buddy,
R&D?
I said, we got it covered. I found the problem. We're on the road. And,
Wow. Wow.
From there on, everything was great.
What was the last year that you ran Pro Stock?
74.
74 was last year.
Yeah, NHRA took the pencil and killed us. I mean, we was running Dusters, Demons, Cudas, and Challengers, and the Fords were running Pintos, and the Chevys were running Vegas.
Mhm.
And we were spotting them 500 pounds, and they actually put us out of business with a pencil in the middle of 72.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was one of your best seasons, you said?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did. Englishtown was the last NHRA race we ran in 72.
Wow.
Chrysler just pulled the plug on that deal. That was the start of the downfall of the factory situation. But now we raced a lot in 72. I mean, I raced every weekend. We were booked solid all year.
Yeah.
And we had that United States Racing Team group together, which was 16 Pro Stock cars, the best 16 cars in the country. And we'd run on Wednesday nights at all the big tracks. Well, I had my Demon. The car's in the museum. It's in the documentary. And I ran a match race in Martin, Michigan on Sunday. I called Buddy Sunday night from a truck stop. That's all it was. There wasn't no cell phones. And he said, your new heads are in, but you're not going to have time to come home and get them on the car because you got to be at ATCO Tuesday morning. I'm in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
And I said, Buddy, don't hit that big red, white, and blue truck out in the parking lot when you come in the morning. Gail and I drove all night to Burlington, unloaded the car Monday morning, pulled the heads off, pulled it all apart, put the new Mullen heads on the car, put it all back together, put it in the truck, and drove all night back to ATCO that night so we could be there to display the car Tuesday morning.
Wow.
And we went to ATCO that night, Wednesday night. We displayed the cars at the malls on Tuesday. We had all 16, or most of the 16 would show up at a display. And the drivers, there'd always be some drivers around there all day to answer questions and stuff. That's why we pulled in the crowds that we did. We put 6,000 people in Englishtown on Wednesday night,
Wow.
about 3 weeks later.
Wow.
But so we go to ATCO, and you just paired up the first round with anybody. Well, I think we drew names or something, and you made a run. Well, the fastest Ford, Dodge, Chevy, and Plymouth, those 4 cars came back and run for the top money. The other 12 ran each other.
Gotcha.
And so I was the last pair of cars to run. I don't remember who I ran, but I was the last pair of cars to run. And the tack was about 300 RPMs higher than I'd ever seen it when I got to high gear. In the
Wow.
I come
Picked
back
up that much.
Yeah, I come back up the return road. I said, I'm fast. And these guys were hanging over the fence waving money at me. And I said, I'm fast. So I could see Gale about 100 yards before I got to him. And Gale had the time card in his hand. And Gale was the best. There was nobody any better. I had the best guy in the world. I stole him from Landy, but I had the best guy in the world. And he had the time card. He jumped in the car. He said, we got the whole field covered by better than a 10th.
Wow.
That was a mile back then, you know.
Wow.
And when I come around the corner, 5 of the drivers standing there said, Herbie wants you to weigh. I said, come on, let's go to the scale. You think I'm stupid? And so we went to the scale. We won Atco that night. We won Ebbing, New Hampshire the next Wednesday night. We won Englishtown the next Wednesday night. We won Union Grove, Wisconsin the next Wednesday night. Those races paid $1,500 on a Wednesday night. So
And the USRT deal was, I mean, that was Jenkins and Nicholson. You know, these were all the heavy hitters for that 1 year got together for this match race program.
That was the best 16 cars in the country. And 1 month, I grossed $6,000, not counting my Friday, Saturday, Sunday deals.
Oh my gosh, that was big money back
that
then.
was big money. That was big money. Yeah,
Wow.
it was.
You know, doing something that you love and getting paid for it is probably one of the best things in the world.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And Stunkard, look at him. You know, he's been around this game forever.
Yeah. Well, I met Jeff at.
We did it at the Hemi Owners Meet in Delaware. Yeah.
What year was that?
He was
sometime early 90s. It would have been early 90s, I think 91, 90. I was working for Mopar Muscle at that point.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Been up there to a show.
Small car show, the Northeast Hemi Owners
Association.
Yeah, that's right.
And Jeff was trying to shoot cars in the parking lot. And he had a ladder and all that. And he'd get one all set up. And I said, who are you doing next? And he'd tell me, I'd go get him. Come on over there. And that's how we met.
Yeah, that's right.
Out there that afternoon doing all
Man.
that.
So just think, you made my career happen too, pal.
That is good stuff. Well, Herb, you know, this is a great story that I'm sure a lot of people want to hear. I've got other drag racers on, Butch Leal, Paul Rossi, Garlitz, and a couple others, you know.
Well, you know,
for me to add this on to that on my channel is really big for me.
The problem we've got today is the era that I grew up in, Buddy and I.
Yeah.
Buddy, he's, you know, still around. He's right outside the door there with some people. But all of the people from that era are basically gone.
Yeah.
We lost Ronnie, Nicholson, and Jenkins in 1 year.
I know it.
All 3 of them.
That's the worst year ever.
Yeah. Nicholson was great.
Yep.
He was just the nicest guy in the world, help you do anything. He was a real friend. And Jenkins was nice. He just wouldn't be nice when other people were around. It was just me and him. He was just like me and you sitting here talking.
But it was funny because, you know,
That's
if I talked railroading with him, I could sit down and talk with him for a couple of hours.
Oh, with Jenkins?
Yeah, with Jenkins, because he was a big train guy.
Was he?
Yeah, he was.
Well, you know who else is a big train guy?
Yeah.
Mr. Hoover.
Mr. Hoover. Well, Mr. Hoover and I, that's kind of how that relationship grew, too, because
Wow.
we talk about that. So.
Chrysler had the race group. There was 15 people. And they handled everything Chrysler did racing. Trans Am, that desert stuff they did, the drag racing, NASCAR, anything that they did that pertained to performance racing, that 15 people handled.
Wow.
And there's only 3 or 4 of them left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, time doesn't wait for us, you know. That's why we got to get out and make it happen, be happy in life. And for me to be able to be here with you, you know, is a touch me moment. You know, I've loved the old drag racers. I think you guys are the bomb.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I really appreciate this morning, you know.
People get older, they don't take care of themselves.
That's true. You said you never smoked or drank.
Buddy and I, neither one have ever drank a beer or smoked a cigarette.
Well, that's why you're here and in good shape, you know.
I still work every day. I love building these cars and doing all this stuff. And I mean, I'll be under the dash or in the trunk or on the hood. I don't care. I don't. Nothing stops me. Sometimes I have a little more trouble getting out from under the dash than I used to. But
well, that's what keeps you going. And
oh, yeah.
Looking to the future, I did talk to you about coming to look at your collection and filming that. So I look forward to that, and everybody else out there in YouTube
We
land
have the
will look forward
museum
to
in
that.
Burlington, North Carolina. You can go on the internet on Facebook, and Mike's got a thing there where you can call a number. And
Well, I got Mike's number
you
now,
can make an appointment on the phone there with Shannon. Usually takes the phone calls, and you know if you're coming through town or something, we'll make an appointment and take you through the place.
And I would like for you to be involved with that so we can hear from you about the cars and some of the ins and outs.
I'm with there Shannon a lot. I mean, Shannon works with me about every day, and
well, I'm moving up to Western North Carolina, so I'll be up there a little bit closer to you and make that happen.
But,
Well, Herb, Jeff, really appreciate this morning. You guys know, can't wait to get it out there and just add it on to the drag racers I got on my channel. It's my goal is to get your guys' story. I like to hear about how you got into it and everything. And this is just a great day. So Herb,
What's neat is the people that come to us that say, "Do you remember being at a certain track?" Now, a lot of times I can tell them what happened there. I just did that the other day. I shocked the guy the other day. He said, "Herb, did you ever go to Smoky Mountain? You remember going to Smoky Mountain Race?" I said, "Yeah, Cherokee, North Carolina." I said, "You remember that?" I said, "Yeah, they had 2 classes there that day. Carburetors and gasoline, 3,000 pounds. Injectors and gasoline, 3,000 pounds."
Really?
I said, "I won the carburetor and gasoline thing, 3,000 pounds. I won first place." Well, they was paying second place in both of them. So I went and got in line with the fuel injected cars. And they said, "What are you doing up here?" I said, "I'm going to run for second place with the fuel injected cars." And all them guys got together and went to the tower and said, "If you let him run, we're not going to run." Because I was faster than he was. But it shocks people when they ask me something like that. And I can remember talking to them. The guy said something to me this morning. He said, "Herb, I called you about an Imperial drive shaft I was working." I said, "Yeah, you were trying to line the U-joints up. You can't do that." I told him the conversation.
You got one of them.
Don't ask me what I ate for lunch yesterday because I don't remember.
Right.
Well, I sure appreciate it. We're here at the U.S. Nationals enjoying Herb McCandless and Jeff Dunkard. And this is a great day for me. I hope you all enjoy. Muscle Car Corner signing out. That's what I'm talking about.